Good evening. Welcome back to Kevin Toll Reads. So today I have another book haul. And so without further ado, let's go through some books that I picked up. I picked up most of these at the used bookstore. I picked up a couple free books from the library. But yeah, seems like I think this is like book haul number 19 on the channel. It's been in quite a few. So we'll start with a couple free books I got. I picked up David Gemmell, The Sword in the Storm. And this is book one of the Reganti. I know nothing about this other than it looks like it's fantasy. And so David Gemmell is an author I've heard quite a bit, kind of old school fantasy author. I have his book Legend up there, which is a standalone. I need to read it. Definitely probably one of the standalones I read next year, but wanted to give him, get another book from him and give him a shot. And then I picked up Armada by Ernest Cline, who is the author of Ready Player One, Ready Player Two. I think it was the recent kind of sci-fi books that he wrote. And this one is an interesting one too. I read the back of it. It was free. Thought, that looks like a pretty interesting premise. Kind of a sci-fi book from a kid point of view. Maybe sort of YA, I don't know. But thought I'd pick that one up. And then when I was at the used bookstore, I was at actually two different ones. I was at one of them, and I've always wanted to read the novelization of these three movies. Obviously, when it comes to this franchise, most people say these are the movies. This is what it's about. But yeah, without further ado, Star Wars Trilogy. This is Star Wars Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. So I wanted to always read the novelization of the middle three movies, what most people have always considered what Star Wars is: A New Hope, The Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. And so I picked that up. It's a compilation of them in good order. So I figured I would check that out. I have read some Star Wars books, believe it or not. I really enjoyed some of them, especially some of the Old Republic ones. I really enjoyed the Timothy Zahn, the trilogy he wrote. What is it? It is the three books, Heir to the Empire. It's the Thrawn trilogy with Han Solo and Princess Leia and Luke. And so I really enjoyed those. I've also read the three books with Darth Bane. I read a couple of the other Old Republic books. So I've read some Star Wars, believe it or not. I don't think I've ever reviewed or anything or talked much about Star Wars books, but I do enjoy them. I've read probably about 8 or 9, maybe 10, and I really enjoy them. So, and then I was at another used bookstore, a different one, on a different day, and I pulled the trigger on the first three books in the Wars of Light and Shadow by Janie Warts. Janie Warts is an author that I have read half of one of her books and enjoyed it. I actually have that book, To Ride Hell's Chasm, back there on the shelf. I have it bookmarked. I'm about halfway through it, and I got sidetracked and I've never came back to it, similar to like The Fireman by Joe Hill. And so I mean to come back to it. I like her writing. She reminds me a lot of Robin Hobb. And this is a 10-book series, a pretty epic series. And she just finished, I believe, book 10. And so I saw these for the cheap for the first three in these beautiful Harper Voyager paperbacks. And so I picked them up. If they would have had more, I would have got them. But they had the first three, and so I picked these up. I would definitely like to get to this in the near term. So I picked those up. And then I picked up a bunch of books. So if you're on here, you like YouTube and BookTube. There is a booktuber out there. It's Criminali, I believe is his channel, and he does videos. I've been frequent quite a bit of people's channels, as you've seen from some of my posts lately about some other channels to check out. But I do frequent some of the bigger channels as well. Criminali is one that I check out. He recently posted and was talking about, some different types of books that you don't get really mentioned around the BookTube community quite a bit. And one of them is one I've kind of had my eyes on. I do have a hard case crime book up there. As you can see, I have a new shelf up there. We'll talk about that. I have an update video coming out this week too with some updates, and that'll be one of them. But anyways, this author is not talked about much on YouTube, and so I wanted to pull the trigger and get some of the books because it's in a series, and it's a very big series. There is about 55 books, and this is the 87th Precinct series by Ed McBain. And I was at a used bookstore, and lo and behold, they had a bunch of them. Now, when it comes to series, when I'm out there looking, and you guys, hey, have you ever tried this series and this one? I'm always like, okay, well, can I find book one? Recently I've been looking for like Harry Bosch, and so I've been looking at Michael Connolly books at the used bookstores, and I never can find the first one. I just haven't pulled the trigger and just bought it, or like off the thrift books or something like that. I've got so many series, but this one piqued my interest, and so Criminali talked a little bit about it. There's a bunch of books. He's started writing this series in the 50s. He died. He wrote those into the early 2000s, so over 50 years. And so there's like 55 books in the series, and you can really read them in any order. You could just pick one up and read it. You don't have to really go in publication order or chronological order type thing. And so that was an appeal to me. And plus the fact that they had these old paperbacks. They're smaller books, which are good because if I want to read bigger fantasy series with bigger books, I definitely need to take breaks on those and get into something a little smaller to keep videos coming, as well as just give myself a break from those. And so I'm really enjoying Louis L'Amour books and the size of them. I really feel like Hard Case Crime is the same way. They're reading really tight. There's not a lot of fluff in them. And so I have a lot of hope for this. Even though I've never read any of these books, I went ahead and picked up, I believe I got about 20 of them. And so I got a bunch of random 87th Precinct novels by Ed McBain. And so there's a bunch of them here. So I'll go through them kind of quickly. But I got Shotgun, 80 Million Eyes, Till Death, Kiss, Killer's Wedge. I got like 4 or 5 of these kind of copies, and they're in pretty good condition considering that this thing is, I should have done my research ahead of time. It was published, and this is copyright 1959. And you can tell because it says $3.50. Axe. Again, this is one that's saying this was copyright 1964. They're probably printed a little more recently than that. First printing was in 69. Fuzz. Give the Boys a Great Big Hand. This one was my favorite of all the cover art. And if you go to like Thomas McNulty Book Corral, and you go and look at some of his crazy older books, the cover art is so just cool, especially when it comes to like sci-fi paperbacks and stuff like that. There's really cool cover art. But this one is Calypso, and this is New York, obviously, but it's got all these different colors. You can see that. This is a really cool cover. 8 Black Horses. Tricks. Widows, another cool kind of cover, kind of a similar deal there. I like this one too. Hail, hail, the gang's all here. Cop Hater. Lullaby. It's another one with kind of the backdrop. And Long Time No See. And so I got, I don't know, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, like 17, 18 copies of these books. And so that's the haul. I couldn't pass up. I mean, they had this huge stack. I started like, oh, well, that one's an 87th precinct. That one's a... So that's the haul. I definitely am looking forward to getting into Ed McBain. Again, I give a little credit, shout out to Criminology for suggesting this in his video. I'll put a link to his channel in the description. And if you've read any of these books, you know, the Star Wars, if you read Armada, if you read any David Gemmell, if you read Ed McBain in the 87th Precinct, give me a comment. Let me know what your thoughts are, one of your favorite ones are, and I'm interested. So anyways, hope you're having a great evening, and I will talk to you later. Thanks.